Okay, so in our second part of our discussion on the Westland, after doing the impressionistic criticism, what we want to very quickly have an overview is about what makes this poem difficult. Difficult uh, to comprehend. So, what are those, uh, you can say, characteristics of this poem which makes it very difficult? Well, first point we can see here, the first one, it is about uh, esoteric nature. Esoteric nature of modern literature. Esoteric, we have discussed that in the background reading, is that esoteric nature of this work. Now, when we are talking about esoteric aspect of literature, we refer to what E.M. Foster is telling in terms of escapism. In terms of escapism, he was telling the thing. So, and we try to justify that the esotericity of modernist literature is because of escapism, and that escapism is connected with herd mentality and the rise of dictators, and so you are deliberately trying to be difficult so that you are not understood by the layman. Now, but here that is not the case exactly. T.S. Eliot, as such, was not feared by any of the dictators as such, as we see in life of Virginia Woolf, or later on Harold Pinter, or George Orwell. The way they have felt the fear of dictators. In case of T.S. Eliot, we do not find that as such there. So then why? Then it is not out of fear, this. But he perhaps is making this not the fear of dictators, but it is coming from the boredom, coming from the boredom of the herd life, H-E-R-D, herd, crowd, and their life. So the sheeple who are not ready to reason anything, and you are like fed up with that, you are like tired with that. So you want people to understand things more deeply. So you talk about historical sense, pastness of the past, importance of that in present. But well, people do not give heed to any of those historical aspect of things, neither of today nor of yesteryears, neither the pastness of the past nor the pastness in present. So the herd is completely like in a denial mode to look into that direction, and you are completely fed up or bored with that idea, and that is where you tend to make things that, well, those who can, let them understand. I don't want to write for everybody. If they want to understand, let them raise their level, let them read and refer to all those things, and that these are those points which makes it difficult, and that gives this thing. So one point, herd mentality, the herd mentality or crowd, which generates a kind of a boredom, which might be the reason. We don't have exactly autobiographical reason, but this is the interpretation that we do in terms of what E.M. Foster said about escapism and the esoteric nature of this literature. Second point here, which makes it difficult, is use of mythical technique. Yes, use of mythical technique, and along with that, third point, which gives the level of difficulty to this poem, is a reference to allusions. Yes, lots of allusions are referred here. So mythical technique, he uses lot many myths and legends. Lot many myths and legends are referred in this. Now, if you are not aware about those myths and those legends, then we don't know what the poet is trying to say. So in this poem, when we'll discuss, we'll find that there are so many interesting stories interwoven in this poem. At least half a dozen interesting stories you will find from one poem. But now, right now, as when you responded, you are not able to talk about any single poem. The way you were talking about death or about nothingness or about failure of communication, but you yourself can understand that where are stories, where are characters. Stories require characters. What are those references? Where are they? Well, nothing. But well, keep this in mind. Right? In our next class, we will talk about various myths which are used here. The problem is that we are not aware about the myths, so we don't strike very quickly that this is there. So if somebody is talking and just refers, just have a passing reference to Kurukshetra, now in our mind the entire Mahabharata will be created. Yeah? Anybody is referring to Kurukshetra, it is not without a reference to Mahabharata. Kurukshetra is even today there. But today you don't talk about Kurukshetra. Kurukshetra has no other mythical connection except for Mahabharata or anything. Like if you think of burning hand, then obviously you will remember Surdas, Ras Lila, Krishna Lila. That all obviously comes. So because that all come from our myth, and we are aware about our myth, so it strikes us quickly that what poet wants to say. Whereas here, the myths are coming from Greek, Latin, European literature, European life, Indian life also, and say they are lesser known myths, lesser known. Indian myths are also there. But it is very difficult. Like there is a myth of Prajapati. There is a reference to Ganga, Himalaya. So that was surprising that you were not able to speak about that there is something of river Ganga, there is something about Himalaya. So why were you not able to speak about Ganga or Himalaya the way you are able to speak about any other references that are there? That also is something that we need to look, that whether we missed out or we are not able to comprehend that there are reference to river Ganga and Himalaya in this there. There is reference to Buddha also. So from the legend of Buddha also we have his fire sermon, and also from Upanishad we have story of Prajapati. So it is also from our culture, Indian culture, Indian philosophy also is there, but we missed out somewhere when we were capturing the initial impressions of the poem. So mythical technique, why it happens? Because maybe people do not have that wide historical sense to comprehend the myths with just a passing reference about it. Allusions to many other literatures also, not only myths and legends, but other literatures in other languages, they are alluded to. So we have seen that in this poem there are lot many things. This fourth point will come about different languages. Different languages so also makes it difficult. So it is not only written in English language. It begins with Latin. It begins with Latin, and then in between also German words are there, and many other European languages are there. They are alluded to all those things, allusions, and other literatures also. At least two plays from William Shakespeare are also alluded to. At least two plays from William Shakespeare are also. Obviously his name also is coming. His name also is coming, but apart from that, direct lines from his two famous plays, The Tempest, which we referred earlier, and Hamlet also are coming. Now, if you suddenly ask people that where are these lines from this plays, obviously people cannot remember all the lines, even if one has studied the play. Very difficult to remember, and some of the lines are not very well-known lines. Well-known lines still people can remember, but these are not well-known. But these allusions also makes it difficult. Once you strike that, there is a meaning there. Once you get to that, you can easily see the meaning. But going to the allusion is difficult. So that makes this poem difficult. And finally, the fifth point, which makes it difficult, is that it is a kind of a pastiche. It is a kind of a pastiche, or you can say patchwork, a kind of a pastiche or a patchwork, or you can say a kind of a collage of disjointed images. A collage of disjointed images. Yeah? That is the fifth point which makes it difficult. This we were able to get in our impressionistic criticism. We are able to see that where there is something that is highly disjointed. So somewhere you see this, somewhere you see that. So that is there. There is disjoint. It is kind of a collage. As collage, we know that there are so many other images or pieces of images making one image. So there are a lot many this is kind of pastiche or patchwork of the thing, which also makes it difficult. So to understand this poem, we have to take a distance. We have to take it is like a painting, and if we are very near the painting, we can see some individual images, but we don't know what is the overall portrait. Individual images we can see when we are near, so we have to take step back, and couple of steps we take back, and we see entire poem with a distance. Then we say, well, this is what is the central theme of the poem. This is actually what T.S. Eliot wants to say. And to say that, he has used all these images. Now let us see, are all these images going in that direction, which is the central theme or not? Then, well, we can find, okay, fine. Now they all are giving us a particular meaning also. That we will see tomorrow. What is that central theme? And how all these images are leading towards that centrality. And then we suddenly find that, well, no, it is not disjointed. It is a good artwork. It is kind of a mala or a garland where there are a variety of flowers there, and they all are tied with a thread, and they make a beautiful garland of variety of flowers, and they all make a beautiful garland. Or it is a good jewelry, diamond work is there, gold work is there, and they all are of different design, and they make a very beautiful kind of mala. Or some might also say that it is a kind of a rosary bead. Rosary bead means when people do puja, they keep that mala, Rudraksh mala, if you remember Rudraksh mala. So these are all these images are manka of Rudraksh, and they make a kind of a religious mala. So it speaks about spirituality also. So in that way, we will try to see that what actually it makes. But these 5 points makes this poem very difficult there. Esoteric nature, from where it comes, it is our interpretation, but it is obviously not for everybody. If you tell a layman that you want to enjoy a poem, read this. I will say that, well, what to read in this poem? You give me something from Wordsworth. I can enjoy Wordsworth, but you can't enjoy T.S. Eliot to read a literature and you think of aesthetic delight. This poem is not meant for that kind of pleasure or aesthetic delight. Mythical technique, lots of use of myths and legends makes it difficult. Allusions to other literatures, other references is also what makes it difficult for an individual to understand. Different languages also are there, so we need to understand what is there. And once we get the context, we say, okay, this is the line coming from so and so work. From this, there are like Sanskrit words also. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti are Sanskrit words. So, and Data, Damayata, Dayadvam, these are all Sanskrit words which are also there. So maybe we should not find a problem about Data, which is not only Sanskrit but also Gujarati word. Dayadvam also is very much used. Damiyata also is used, and Shanti obviously is a Gujarati word also. But still, for us it is easy word. Other words are difficult for us. For others, even Shanti, Shanti, Shanti is a very difficult word. Even to pronounce. We have seen the recitation of the poem where the person cannot speak Shanti properly. Or Data, Dayadvam, Damayata, he is not able to speak properly. Even those words are there. So that different languages, and finally this patchwork of collage of images, that makes it very difficult poem there. Okay, so this is an introduction into this poem with this 2 point, that is about impressionistic criticism and what makes this poem difficult. In our next class, We will talk further about all these images in detail.